August 28, 1629, Part 1, The Urban Express. On a crisp summer morning, Amelia Enfield woke up ready to embark on her new journey. Before this moment, Amelia had never ventured into the city on her own. Being in the city was all she had ever dreamed about, and she wasn't going to let fear get in her way. She daydreamed out the window, as she always did, in her father's car as the subtle noises of rustling trees and busy streets surrounded her. Amelia's trek to university would entail a 40-minute car ride to the train station, followed by a 2-hour express train ride, and a 30-minute walk to campus. Though aware of this commute when she chose the university, she hoped and prayed every day that one day she would fulfill her dream of living in the big city. "Have an amazing day. I am so proud of you," her father said to her as they pulled up to the station. "Thank you," Amelia exclaimed as she gave her father a big hug. As she walked over to the parked train, she took one last look as her father drove off to work. "I can do this," she whispered to herself as she began her search for a seat. Amelia looked up and down the aisles as hundreds of people chatted about and were taking their own seats. Seeing all of them dressed up, taking notes as they prepared for their work days, made Amelia feel content about where she was in her life. Amelia took a seat next to a window, finding sudden comfort in this choice. She dreamed as the train zoomed through towns she had never seen before. This heightened moment was happening so quickly, so she took slow deep breaths to try and take it all in. A while later, the train began to slow down. Amelia focused further out the window and saw a silhouette of the big city in the distance. She smiled to herself and held back a few tears. This was the moment. This was her moment. As she joined the crowds of people making their way to their respective jobs, she began her route to class. As she walked, she gazed at men and women, dressed up for presentations, some doing so while riding bicycles. Amelia was in awe of them. While quite excited about her day, she made sure to memorize her route so that she could replicate it on her way back. She entered the campus of her university, watching as hundreds of thousands of students did the same. She stopped at a nearby bench to pull out her class schedule printed on a piece of paper from the night before. Amelia had entered university to study mathematics, a subject that always interested her since she was a young girl. She dreamed of being a brilliant mathematician who could solve any problem. Mr. Atbury had encouraged this dream of hers while also suggesting other career fields that she might find exciting. We will revisit that. Amelia made her way to her first class of the day, which was Calculus 1. She had technically tested out of this course with the help of Mr. Atbury's tutoring sessions. However, when Amelia was planning her course schedule, she felt nervous that the university version would substantially be more difficult. Without his presence guiding her, she decided to enroll in this course a second time, hoping that all of the content from before had remained in her brain. She took a seat in this grand auditorium of students, and so it began. August 28, 1629, Part 2, The Reason for the Formula. As Amelia took her seat in this mathematics class, she began to dream about her reason for studying mathematics in the first place. Every weekend, for as long as she could remember, involved watching football events with her family. As the players would take the field, the numbers would start organizing themselves in her head. Rushing yards. Passing yards. Distance to the red zone. Every Sunday would turn into 3 hours of her paying close attention to the game while also inquiring uncertainties within the game to her father periodically. As she got older, this pattern went from watching 1 game a week to 5 games, 1 on Thursday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday. She would watch as commentators narrated every play, providing analysis of the players' every move. She hoped that one day she could be the woman behind the numbers. Amelia believed that her dream could become a reality as long as she studied mathematics at university and did well. She would later switch majors to statistics to be more aligned with this goal. Considering the hurdles she had previously experienced with mathematics at school, even with Mr. Adberry's assistance, she had some doubts about her abilities for future courses. However, Amelia's strong-willed spirit would not let her succumb to such doubts. Amelia's daydream was interrupted suddenly when her classmate nudged her with some course notes. "Sorry, thank you," Amelia said as she took the notes paper and then passed the remaining to the next person. "No worries, happy first day," said her classmate, a tall girl with an athletic build. Megan was her name, who would later become a close friend of Amelia's for the remainder of her freshman year. "Have you taken this course before?" Amelia asked. "Yes, this is my second time taking this course," Megan replied. "Calculus doesn't come easily to me. However, I heard that the teaching assistant this semester is very helpful." "That's good," Amelia said. "Maybe we could also help each other." Megan smiled and nodded to Amelia. As Amelia looked down at her course notes, preparing herself for the lecture, she looked up instantly to the sight of a young man with a copper-colored bag with papers sticking out of it walking into the classroom. "That's him," said Megan. "That's the teaching assistant." August 28, 1629, Part 3, The Free Spirit. This young man, with uncombed dark brown hair, pants ripped at the ankles, and a collared shirt missing a button, seemed to catch Amelia's eye. He walked into the classroom, sat down, placed his feet on the top of the desk, and began eating an apple in front of the class. "Hi everyone," he said. "I'm Nicholas, and I will be your teaching assistant for Calculus 1. Amelia watched as all of the girls in her class kept their attention on Nicholas, including Megan. Nicholas was a free spirit. The girls thought he was good-looking, and the boys thought he was cool and interesting. Some days he would come into the classroom on a bicycle, and other days he would answer students' questions while eating his lunch. To Amelia, he was a mysterious man with a very positive outlook on life. She was always nervous to ask him questions or approach him, so she would teach herself the lecture at home in order to be fully prepared for Nicholas' discussion sessions. She also found that Mr. Adberry's tutoring sessions were all the help she needed to succeed in this course. One time, the week of the Calculus 1 midterm exam, Nicholas held a tutoring session for the students to ask questions. Megan came into the classroom in distress, confiding in Amelia that she had lost so much sleep over this exam and did not feel prepared. Asking Amelia to accompany her, she went up to Nicholas to ask him a few homework questions. However, the lack of sleep had caught up with her and she was unable to iterate a coherent thought. Amelia could see that Megan was struggling and approached Nicholas with Megan's concerns. This was the first time Amelia had spoken to Nicholas. This also would not be the last time that Amelia would get nervous speaking to people whom she, in her mind, had put at such a high status. "She's asking about question 15 on the homework, the one about the integrals," Amelia said. "Oh yes," Nicholas responded. "I can go over that one." "Thank you," said Amelia. Nicholas nodded and smiled. "Thank you, Amelia," Megan said as they made their way back to their desks. Amelia spent the following months accompanying Megan to numerous tutoring sessions and Nicholas' office hours. She wouldn't say a word, but just being in the same room as him made her nervous. She would pass the course with flying colors and few words were spoken between her and Nicholas. In that moment, she learned that university would be the time for her to find her likes and dislikes, progress through successes and failures, while meeting amazing people with extraordinary personalities and lives.